It's so interesting, the timing of this conversation and the work that you do, because I would imagine that given the current events that are happening in the world, that you see the necessity of your work highlighted even more as we're watching this conflict between Russia and Ukraine take place. And really, it's not a conflict, it's aggression. But we see the way that people are lauding and supporting the Ukrainian people in actively resisting the Russian violence and the Russian um, war efforts towards them, telling them to stay strong, continue to do that. And how different that is when Palestinian people defend themselves against Israel, or how different it is when we talk about African nations that have historically defended themselves against colonialism and imperialism. And so it's interesting that we're having this conversation right now about Black resistance in a time where we see white European resistance applauded and lauded, but we do not get that same type of support and encouragement and affirmation of our resistance when we fight back against the very same forces of imperialism and colonialism.
There's never a right time for Black resistance,
Oh, no,
according to them.
No, and it never will be. So I mean, to just put it plain and blunt, we're too dark. Remember Chuck D back in the day said we're too black for BET. And that right there, the average person be like, well, what do you mean? It's Black entertainment television, but we know like now it's ran by Viacom, so any Black symbolism or Black modes or models of resistance has to fit in you being patriotic. You have to go along, you have to conform, you have to be against what's right, really. Because when you talk about capitalism and imperialism, colonialism, it's about thievery, it's about murder. The same genocide that is taking place on this country takes place all over the planet. And when you talk about places like the Ukraine, they are unfortunately being used as puppets against a rogue regime. And that rogue regime happens to be the United States, the EU, NATO. These are folks who are looking to control and dominate not only the West, but the entire planet. So when you see these patriotic gestures, and you see folks shedding tears for Ukrainians who happen to be neo-Nazis, as you can see when the African brothers and sisters who were trying to escape the onslaught, they were turned away. They were forced back by their white Ukrainian brothers. So the fact of the matter is, they talked about us being 3/5 of human beings. That mentality is still here. Just because they changed it on the books doesn't mean that, that's not what they think of you. So.